Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers, and welcome to another unpredictable and outdoorsy episode of the So You Want to Be an Imagineer historical retrospective. This time covering the second part of Season 6. Shut up! I decided to shoot outdoors for a change, not only just because it's a really nice day out, but also because the final project this season is an outdoorsy project that I felt it would just be appropriate to shoot outdoors for. But before we get into any of that, I'd like to go over one final twist that was implemented into the game besides the team format that I forgot to talk about early on in the first part. You know what? I'm gonna probably move in the next cut. Yeah, because this bird's really annoying. But anyways, the PO MVP. You all know what it is. It's basically the So You Want to Be an Imagineer equivalent of Big Brother's Power of Veto. You win it by being the most valuable player on your team according to the team leader. Only the team leader can pass it off, and you can only get it one round. You can't get it multiple rounds in a row. All that good stuff. The interesting thing about the PO MVP for me is that it's one of those powers where at the start of the season, the PO MVP really just comes down to just being, God, I hope these birds aren't too annoying. I really should have thought about that. The PO MVP really comes down to, at the start of the game, it's not much more than just a pat on the back. Like, I mean, if you excel at a project early on, odds are you're not going to be in danger of being eliminated anytime soon in the team portion. So really, the PO MVP, unless you happen to be going on a trip or something right after you win it, it's pretty much, it's a non-existent power at the start of the game. And I think it's interesting that as the game goes on, it just starts to get more and more powerful, to the point where, you know, in the later rounds, whoever gets the PO MVP is going to be set up in a really good spot. And the first person to ever get a PO MVP was Mater, followed by Big Disney Fan. I remember, I don't know why this sticks out to me, but there was just a little bit of surprise among the people on Team Ansem that Mater got the first PO MVP and not Big Disney Fan. Big Disney Fan really was a huge presence this season. Like I said in Season 1, he was, you know, he really is a die-hard sort of traditionalist, and it didn't change this season. What did change, though, was his work ethic for the most part, especially when he was in the team portion. Big Disney Fan was really one of the hardest working people there, but he became a bit of a villain in this season. I mean, this is really one of the more sort of vanilla, you know, like, not very controversial seasons. If anyone was a villain, though, I'd say it was Big Disney Fan, just because he really did have this attitude about him. You know, we needed to do the old school way. You know, he would kind of refuse any sort of innovation. And that's just the type of person he is, and it's what makes him interesting. When we first left off, the teams had merged. We had 3 people from Team Ansem and 3 people from Team Yensid. From Team Ansem, we had Mater, Big Disney Fan, and Disney Lover Forever. And from Team Yensid, we had the original power trio of Here We Go, PL7764, and Phantasmic. So, moving forward, yeah, Disney Lover Forever ended up being the 6th place finisher this season. And to tell you the truth, my memory is a little foggy on how this happened, because as I mentioned the last video, Disney Lover Forever actually came out guns blazing and got Team Ansem's project done for them when they were really quite inactive the last round. Honestly, I really don't get how Disney Lover Forever didn't end up with PO MVP, because he single-handedly pretty much won that project for his team. I actually believe the person that did end up getting PO MVP that round was Big Disney Fan. And, I don't know, to tell you the truth, the only thing I can think of in terms of that is just that, Mater, who was the team leader at the time, he probably sent in who was going to get PO MVP before Disney Lover Forever came in and finished the project for them, and he probably just picked big Disney fan by default. So, yeah, I really don't. It's odd, but Disney Never Forever ends up getting eliminated 6th place. This project was to redesign inside and out the pool at the Paradise Pier Hotel, which is one of my family's personal favorite hotels to stay at, just because it's really nice from a budgetary standpoint. It's just pretty much one of the nicer budget hotels in the area. I mean, it's only about $150 a night to stay there, which isn't, that's not terrible at all for Disney, but I digress. I love it because of the glass elevator, too. I mean, that hotel's just got a lot of really underrated sort of cool things about it. But, yeah, they have that, they have a swimming pool. I believe it's on the 3rd floor, and I always to tell you the truth, I always like swimming pool projects, because I feel like it's something that people don't really think about, but you can put a ton of creativity into something like a pool, especially with a Disney budget. I don't really remember the specifics of what the team did. By the way, the team, the merged team was called Team Merlin, Disney's most famous sorcerer, going with the sorcerer motif still. And the only thing I really remember is that they had some sort of setup where they had sort of games that would use water cannons that were themed to carnival games. If I remember correctly, I definitely remember something like that. I'm sure they probably themed the water slide into a wooden roller coaster. And yeah, it was a decent project, but, alas, Disney Never Forever ends up getting eliminated, so that was that. Now, when it got down to the final 5, it was going to be a double elimination to the final 3. So this meant that we had officially come upon the semifinals. And the final 3 was actually a really big deal, and to tell you the truth, I really liked the fact that in the game we kind of alternate between the final 2 and the final 3, so that people don't really know which one it's going to be when the season starts. I honestly wish Survivor would take a cue from that instead of just throwing the final 2 in once every blue moon. I wish they'd do it like every 3 seasons or so, make a final 2, but again, I digress. So, the theme of the project this time around was to come up with a dark ride for Critter Country, replacing both the Hungry Bear restaurant and the new Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh ride, which is quite a healthy amount of real estate to work with. But the catch of this project was that they could not theme it to any sort of movie. It had to all be original characters. I wish I could remember this project more in detail. I wish I could remember the actual characters more. I know that they just sort of did, essentially they came up with a background for Critter Country, and they came up with a bunch of original critter characters, which, that's fine, that's a good idea. The thing I remember most about the project, the element I remember most, is that PL7764, who at this point, pre-merge, he'd contribute to every project, but he was really kind of quiet. Post-merge, though, was when PL really broke out of the gate. He was very active during the swimming pool project, and in this project, he basically provided the project with the best idea it had, which was this multi-track system where every so often in the ride you would come upon, basically a fork in the road and break off into one of 2 tracks. This would happen, I believe, 3 times in the ride, and it'd lead to a bunch of different possibilities for exactly what you'd see during your ride. Lots of rewritability there. So yeah, PL really hit it out of the park with that suggestion, I thought. But now it came time to eliminate 2 people to make the final 3. This is where the PO MVP really came into play. The person who won the PO MVP the round before was Here We Go, so he automatically got advanced into the final project. Now, this is interesting because Season 6 is the only time we would do this, but I actually made the project leader, who was Mater, again, assign himself a PO MVP to automatically advance to the finals. Nowadays, not only do I not have a PO MVP for the semifinals, in fact, usually the semifinals is an individual project, but I also don't have a PO MVP going into the semifinals. The last round where someone's awarded the PO MVP is usually the round before the semifinals, so it was a pretty big switch up. But Mater, between Big Disney Fan and PL7764 and Phantasmic to advance to the final three, he actually advances Phantasmic, which was an interesting choice for me, because throughout the season, Phantasmic, again, he's present in every project, but he was really sort of an underdog the whole time. And I don't know, it's funny, because if he would have advanced PL7764 and not Phantasmic, then I would have very clearly eliminated Phantasmic and brought Mater into the final three. But instead, I had a brutal decision to make over PL7764 and Mater. And the decision ultimately came down to, well, PL7764 had been really coming into his own, really contributing a lot of great ideas. Mater was kind of all over the place in the last project, and he really didn't know how to organize everything. He wasn't on that much. So, in the end, I just decided that PL had more to contribute to the project than Mater did, so Mater was eliminated. Big Disney Fan kind of quietly got eliminated in 5th place because it was just a project that he didn't really have much of a say in. He just, he was kind of quiet. It's kind of a disappointment considering his character was so big in the beginning, but what are you going to do? So, now we get to the final three, and like I said, it's really sketchy that the PO MVP pretty much eliminated Mater. If I would have just not had a PO MVP that round, then Mater would have clearly been in the final three. But still, it made for a really interesting storyline, because the Yensid 3, the 3 people who had suffered the first 3 project losses in a row, all made it into the finals. They pile-drived over the 6-person Team Ansem to get to the finals. And that's something that still has not happened yet again. And I'm just, it's just a really interesting story. Like I said, we have Phantasmic, we have Here We Go, and we have PL7764. The final project was to design something for the strawberry fields on Catalina Boulevard, which is this empty patch of land that Disney owns. I'd say maybe roughly it's a little smaller than California Adventure is, a little bit. It's about 50 acres or so. And yeah, the project was to just do whatever you want with that land, but to make it make the most sense from a financial and business perspective. I don't remember what Phantasmic's was, but again, he was kind of a quiet player. He didn't really put much detail into his project, so he ended up in 3rd place. But hey, props to him for making it all the way. And then Here We Go did, he had sort of an animation studio tour for his project, I believe. Or it was like an animation, it was kind of a hybrid studio and then history, like a museum of the history of animation. It was interesting, and definitely got a few votes. But the project that ran away with the win, and to this day I think is one of the more interesting projects we've ever had, is PL7764's brilliant Twin Peaks Wilderness Adventure Park. Now, what he did here was he just, he took the concept of a general, national park, just national recreational park, and expanded it to Disney size. He had man-made mountains, man-made forests, a lake that was in the shape of a Mickey Mouse head, all kinds of activities, I believe a train. And what I really like about this project is that it's something that we have never seen Disney do. Disney has never actually made a full-blown wilderness park before. It's something that I think would be really interesting to see happen. I mean, yeah, sure, you can say that there's an issue of realism here, because, it would all be very man-made, and obviously it wouldn't be true nature, it'd just be a Disney interpretation of nature. but I still think it'd be damn cool, and I think it'd be really cool if they maybe tapped into some of their unused land in Disney World and created some sort of wilderness park there, but that's another story. But yeah, PL7764, someone who was on nobody's radar at the start of the season, ends up walking away with the win as a perfect little cherry on top of the season. And that's why I love Season 6 so much. It's just entirely unpredictable. We had a few really great projects. And yeah, it was just overall a very refreshing, sort of revitalizing new start to the game. But next season is when things start getting really crazy, and I'm sure you guys are looking forward to that. And I'll talk to you later while we dive all into the heavily anticipated fans versus favorites season. So see you guys then.